The air hung heavy with humidity and the scent of magnolias in Jackson, Mississippi. It was in this small town that young Thomas came of age. His world was a tapestry woven with the threads of faith and discipline, overseen by his father, the formidable figure of Big Jim.
Big Jim, the preacher of the town's only church, cast a long shadow. Sunday mornings began with the soaring voices of the choir. They echoed through the humble wooden structure of the church. Mondays brought chores and a strict study of scripture. Life offered little room for deviation from Big Jim's righteous path.
Spare the rod, spoil the child. That's what the good book says, and I reckon it's true.
Thomas knew his father loved him. He also knew his father believed in the rod. Despite the rigidity, there was warmth in their home. Thomas's mama, a woman of quiet strength, filled their days with love and gentle guidance. She knew the weight of her husband's expectations and tried to be a calming influence on her son.
I love them both, I really do, but sometimes I just wish things were different.
Thomas was torn. He loved his parents dearly, but the yearning for a life less restrained grew within him. 14. That's all it took. 14 years beneath the weight of expectation. One sweltering summer night, Thomas slipped away. He left behind the hymns and the scent of his mother's fried chicken. He sought solace in the neon lights and the promises whispered in the smoke-filled alleys of New Orleans.
I thought I'd find freedom there, you know? A chance to live without rules, without someone always looking over my shoulder.
Years blurred in a haze of bad decisions and fleeting pleasures. Thomas fell into a life of petty crime. He found companionship in bars, his conscience drowning in cheap whiskey. The lessons of his childhood seemed a distant memory, the love in his mama's eyes a fading photograph.
But even in the darkest corners, there was always something, a flicker of what I'd left behind. Maybe it was guilt, or maybe it was something else.
Each sunrise brought a fresh wave of guilt. The memory of his father's booming voice reciting scripture echoed in the silence of his rented room. News arrived like a gut punch. Big Jim was gone. A heart attack, they said. It was a swift and unexpected end for a man who seemed invincible.
I didn't know what to feel. I mean, he was my father, but we didn't exactly see eye to eye. Still, I had to go back. I had to.
Thomas, his face etched with the wear of his choices, returned to Jackson a stranger. The town felt smaller, quieter. The church stood weathered but resolute, much like his father. Standing by his father's grave, a wave of regret washed over Thomas.
I get it now. I see what he was trying to do, the discipline, the rules. It wasn't just about control. It was about love, about protection.
He finally understood the value of his strict upbringing. The discipline he once resented now appeared as a shield, a protection against the harshness of the world. He saw clearly the depth of his father's love, disguised beneath layers of piety and sternness.
Mama welcomed me back like I'd never left. No judgment, just love. She spoke about him, about Big Jim, in a way that made me see him differently. And in that moment, I knew I had to stay. I had to make things right.
In that moment, Thomas knew he had to stay. He had to make amends, not just to his family, but to himself. The church, once filled with Big Jim's booming pronouncements, now stood eerily silent. The congregation had dwindled, the weight of grief heavy in the air.
I didn't think I could do it. I mean, me, standing where he once stood, but someone had to.
Thomas knew what he had to do. He stepped into his father's shoes, both figuratively and literally, and took to the pulpit. His voice shook at first, rough from years of neglect and misuse. But as he spoke of faith, of redemption, of the unwavering love of God, his voice gained strength.
I didn't preach fire and brimstone. That wasn't me. I talked about forgiveness, about second chances, about finding grace, even when you think you don't deserve it.
People listened. They saw in him a reflection of their own struggles, their own longing for grace. His sermons drew people back. The church, once on the verge of closing, throbbed with new life.
I found something there in that little church. Purpose, peace, even love. Brenda, she became my anchor, my partner in rebuilding not just the church, but myself.
Together they rebuilt the church, and in the process, Thomas rebuilt himself. He learned that true faith wasn't about rigidity or judgment, but about love, forgiveness, and the courage to rise above our failings.
Funny, isn't it? I thought I could never live up to him, to Big Jim. Turns out I didn't have to. I just had to be me.
In the end, Thomas found redemption in the most unlikely of places, the church of his father, a man he thought he could never please. EliteCafeBooksinitiatives.net